Alright everyone, Cowboy Trades here, welcome back to the channel for another update on DogelonMars ticker symbol ELON. So, ELON just broke down into new bear market lows. Here's what happens next. So, 2 weeks ago over on the channel, we warned you that the breakdown was just getting started. And as you can see in the past 2 weeks, we have come down and hit new bear market lows. We talked about the fact that this hidden bearish divergence was very likely to allow us lots of room to move to the downside. We are right now on the MFI still sitting around about 38 with more potential room for ELON to get continuation back down to the downside. So what price targets am I looking at right now? Well, we obviously talked about this breakdown from the head and shoulders. We were predicting a 50% drop for ELON. We haven't moved too substantially, about a 17% drop since our last video, with still about another 40% drop to come down until we hit the price target of this macro head and shoulders. Now, there is also a lot of liquidity a little bit further down. If I move my cursor down, you can see about a 43% drop would land us in this huge cluster of liquidity. If you're looking at the left side of the screen, these are the volume profile histograms. The larger these volume profile histogram bars, then the more volume there's previously been traded in the market, and the more likely we are to find support at these regions. So in the macro for the next few weeks, probably expect about another 43 to 45% drop back down for ELON. Now, this percent price drop and also a fractal that I'm about to show you is going to be very interesting because there's a lot of similarities which we are witnessing right now. First of all, I want to talk about what's happening with the oscillators. So if we look at the stochastic RSI, right now you can see the blue moving average, the short-term moving average, has pretty much in the past week or so just hit zero. Does this mean we're going to have a bounce straight away? Well, in previous times where we've come down to zero, you can actually see we had a dead cat bounce from here, preceded with about a 30% drop while we were consolidating at zero before we had a proper bounce. Over here, when the short-term moving average hit zero, the price basically broke down another 55% while the stock was consolidating. Over here, you can see the short-term moving average hit this zero mark, and since then we've broken down about another 24%. So the stock isn't really the main thing that I want to highlight in this fractal right now. What I want to highlight is what's happening right now with the MACD, price action, and MFI. So as you can see, we quite recently just talked about the fact that, over here, the stock hit zero, and over here, the stock hit zero, and we had lots more room to move to the downside. But we've got an interesting double fractal on these oscillators playing out right now. Well, technically triple if you're looking at these two oscillators and the price action. Here's what I'm really seeing, and here's why I think we're in this same situation where we've got another couple of weeks to move to the downside. So let's look at the MACD. The MACD, for the first time on ELON's history, has flipped bearish. When this originally loaded in, this was already bearish, so we've never seen a bearish flip. We've just seen these load in during a bear market, and then of course, obviously, they were bearish because we were in a bear market. But we obviously had this long, drawn-out accumulation distribution phase for ELON, and during that time, the MACD managed to flip bullish, and now it has flipped back down bearish. The MACD right now is pretty much at the same valuation as it was back on the 23rd of May, and coming over to the 23rd of May, you can see that we still had lots of room to move to the downside before the MACD found a bottom, and this was also the same case for the stochastic RSI, which, while it hit zero at this point down here, it had lots of room to chop to the side. Just like over here, it had lots of room to chop to the side, and just like now, I'm predicting the stock is probably going to bleed out for another couple of weeks before we see a bounce. Over on the MFI as well, while the stock has hit zero, the money flow index is up at 42. This is pretty much the same valuation as it was over on this fractal over here for the MFI. So in general, while the stock is saying we're at zero, it's also saying, it's very likely that we have a lot of time to chop sideways and break down for the next few weeks. With that said as well, the MACD is at this same valuation as when it previously had a nasty meltdown. The MFI is at this same valuation where it previously had much more room to make a nasty meltdown. And this is why when I'm looking at the stochastic RSI, you can see there's multiple fractals, there's multiple touch points where we've come down to zero. But in my opinion, this data point right here, not this data point back here where the MFI was already much lower and the MACD was much higher. So once again, I'm saying this data point because if we look back, sure, the stock was at 0 at this point, but the MFI was absolutely rocketing down. We're not seeing that right now. We're not seeing a massive outflow of liquidity. The MACD was also much higher, so we were in a different market situation in accordance to the MACD. Over here, we didn't quite come down to 0, so we're not in this same situation, which is why I think right now that this fractal is leaning up. And when we previously look at this bearish cross on the stochastic RSI that happened right here on the 23rd of May, sorry, let's pull this back up. So 23rd of May, this was right here. We had a further 57% to drop to the downside after the stochastic RSI flipped bearish, and the stochastic RSI, hit this 0 mark on the 1st of May. And, since this bearish flip, we've only broken down 23%. So if we drop down about another, 57%, copy this same fractal, this is about, 45% away from where we are right now. What did we talk about in our price targets at the start of the video? We talked about how from where we are right now, it's about a 41% drop down to the head and shoulders, or it's about a 43.5, basically 45% drop down to this major area of liquidity in the markets. This is why, my friends, I think Elon is getting ready to drop about another 43 to 45%, hitting this head and shoulders price target and finding itself in a major support region, which at that point, we could potentially see the stochastic RSI on the weekly time frame turn up, and we could have a short-term bounce for the markets. In the lower time frames, there's not really much I want to talk about. I did look at the 1 hour, I did look at the 4 hour, I did look out for divergences, chart patterns, but just look at this. We're basically just in an absolute monumental bleed out right now. Every couple of days, we come up and tag the short-term moving average on the EMA ribbons. So if you are keeping your eyes on this and, somehow we come back up and retest the EMA ribbons, that could potentially lean for a short position in the markets. But right now, I'm really just seeing a bleed out, and this is because, like we said, when we come over to the volume profiles, we are in an area right now where there's absolutely no liquidity. This is why we're moving very quickly to the downside. We don't have really any support built out in this range. Just look at this. You had touch points down here, and you had touch points up here. Besides this, when we've been in this range, you had quick move up, quick move down. You spent a few weeks here. You had one touch point here and a major rejection. When you were ready to move out of this range, you spent 1 week in this range. In fact, if we come over to the daily time frame, you can see this is how much time we've had traded within this range. We've had, 18 days here. We weren't even trading within this range. We just got immediately rejected. Over here, we had about 11 days worth of data traded. So all in all, we've got, 29 days, less than 30 days worth of data traded. And there's really no major support and resistances in this major box. This is why we're not finding support. We're not building out chart patterns right now. We're not bouncing from a support level and bouncing back up to another resistance level and forming, XYZ technical analysis pattern. We are just bleeding out, and this is why I expect, according to the oscillators, according to the price action, according to the technicals, and also the fact that we are in an area of no liquidity, this is why I expect Elon to just keep on falling down about another 45% before it does find any support in the markets. For today, my friends, that's all I've got. Do bear in mind, Elon is actually a meme coin that I am potentially looking at picking up again in the next cycle. I was bullish on Elon in the last bull run. It was one of my major bags that did have a major return for me. I do think Elon is going to be a good meme coin into the next cycle, although Elon is losing a lot of hype right now because it was a meme coin that came out, back in 2021. I still do think it's going to make a major comeback in the next cycle. Do I think it could take out its all-time high? Well, a little bit of a tricky one up there because, obviously if we do come down to this price target, Elon would absolutely need to explode and do a monumental return up to its all-time high, 2,200%. Am I necessarily predicting that? No, but, once it comes down and makes these, once it finds support round about these volume profiles, maybe forms a bear market low, the market cap of this is relatively low. It's not too hard for this to do, a 5x, a 10x from its lows. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to, pop up, 2,000, maybe 3,000% up to its all-time highs. Nonetheless, Coming into the next cycle, we will reanalyze it. We'll look at the meme coins. We'll see which ones survived and which ones didn't. It's kind of hard to predict that right now. I like to take things one price target at a time. So with that being said, let's watch it drop down about another 44%. If it looks like it's making a bottom round about these volume profiles, we can of course talk about accumulating it for cheap and being bullish on it for the next few months or so and witnessing a bounce. For today, my friends, that's all I've got. If you do enjoy my videos on Elon, as always, let me know down below by leaving a like and a comment. Share the videos with your friends. If you want to further support the channel, feel free to click the join button and become a member today. Follow me over on Twitter at 618_cowboy. That's all I've got for today. It's been your boy Cowboy Trades. I'm out. Peace.